Hey, good day to you. This is Stan Prochowski with Prochowski Estate Law, and this is the Ask Stan show every Thursday at 12 noon, where I answer all your estate planning questions submitted throughout the week. If you have a question about wills, trusts, Medicaid pre-planning, Medicaid crisis planning, the nursing home, or just estate planning in general, just send them to me here on Facebook or call me at 363-7222 or email me at prochowskiestatelaw@gmail.com. I'll answer them live on WKSR Radio, and we post them here on the Ask Stan show every Thursday. So, let's get right to it.
Good to have you, sir, once again.
Good morning. Good morning. Always good to be here.
Van Morrison, is that who did that song?
I don't think so. I was thinking of that one. It was the Gloria song where they spelled it out. Gloria.
Yeah, I'll think of it. I should know that.
Laura Branigan did one, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. But in the absence of that, we can always think of one done by the Turtles. So Happy Together. Remember that one?
Yeah. Will that be our Stan Prochowski oldie of the morning?
That's going to be the pick. Sometimes you just got to make a decision. That's it.
Go right ahead. Bring us up to date on stuff.
Okay. Well, today is October the 1st, and I'm having my live seminar over at your sister station, WLX in Lawrenceburg. They're right behind the same building as the radio station, but in the back they've got their country cafe, and we're doing in person. That's a nice big venue, so we can spread people out if you're concerned about social distancing, because they do dancing back there, and that's right there on Locust Avenue. The address is 1212 North Locust Avenue. If you want to come to that, you're welcome. It's not just limited to Lawrenceburg. They just invited me there to use their venue. Mm-hmm. So give me a call at 363-722, or RSVP if you can, or if not, just show up. We can take walk-ins. I'm doing two of them today, one at 1 o'clock, and then I'm going to do another one at 6 o'clock. So I'll stick around over there. But come on in, it's called Wills, Trusts, and the Nursing Home. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. And that brings me to today's topic. I like to answer questions, but this is sort of a generic question. These are ones that come up all the time, but they're kind of what I call myths, common myths about long-term care. And that's usually what we talk about at these seminars. Usually these questions come up during the Q&A at the end. But I'm going to go over those any time we have while you look up the oldie of the week.
You want the Turtles, right?
Yeah.
I already got it. Yeah.
Talk about efficient. Multitask. Very good. All right, listen up. I hear people that talk about Medicare, Medicaid, long-term care, short-term care, and often let's say things like, well, I was talking to my neighbor, I was talking to the hairdresser, talking to a friend. And so people get a lot of understanding about things, and unfortunately, more often than not, it's not exactly the way things work. And I hate it when people get a surprise. When they get into a situation, they find out it's not what they thought at all, and now it's too late to do any planning. So I want to go over a few common misconceptions, pretty much related to healthcare, long-term healthcare. The first one I'm going to call myth number one is folks just say, I won't need long-term care. I won't need it. I'm healthy, I'll be all right. And you may not. You may not, but if you look at statistics, just Google them, you'll get the same ones all the time. The statistics are, if you were to turn 65 years old today, you've got a 70% chance of requiring some form of long-term care in your remaining years. Now, the biggest group of people right now that need long-term care services are what we call the baby boomers. That's you and me, Bush. Mm-hmm. People born between 1946 and 1964. And there's 78 million of us. We're one of the biggest class. 78 million of us, and according to Medicare.gov, they've got some statistics. 12 million of the baby boomers will require long-term care services this year. Think about that; those are pretty staggering numbers. So, if you think you won't, if you say I won't need it, well, statistically, there's a good chance you will. Myth number two: my health insurance will cover long-term care expenses. Well, health insurance usually doesn't cover long-term expenses, at least not to any meaningful degree. Some plans will carry minimal care, maybe some skilled benefits, but that's what we call short-term. They're usually designed around recovery or rehabilitation. You get your shoulder worked on, and they'll pay for some rehab over several weeks of rehab. But I think if you look closely at your plan, you'll find some language in there that says something like, this plan does not cover long-term care. Number 3, Medicare will pay for long-term care. Well, that chimes right into number 2 because Medicare is insurance. And we just talked about insurance, okay? So Medicare will not pay for long-term care needs. Now what Medicare pays for, they'll pay the first 20 days of rehab. So they may put you in a nursing home. You know, if you get a new hip or you break your hip and then you got a rehab, they'll send you to the nursing home and they'll pay 100% of the first 20 days. But then you can get that extended to 100 days where they'll pay 80% and you'll pay 20%. But they absolutely will not pay past day 100. So when I talk about long-term care, that's what we're referring to. Long-term care is not one of the things that Medicare will pay for. And you know, when people buy Medicare, they always sell all these supplements, that Medicare supplement plans. They're often touted to cover the things that Medicare leaves behind. But I'm here to tell you that long-term care is still not one of those things. So if you think you got a supplement that covers that, you need to go back and read the contract, because I guarantee you it doesn't. Number 4, I'm too young to need long-term care. Well, some folks do. I mean, this is definitely not more the exception than the rule, but about 8% of people 40 to 50 years old have some sort of disability. You can be born with it. Younger people can have a severe unexpected illness or disease, injury, accidents. So you don't have to be 65 and older to require long-term care. It can happen at a younger age. Myth number 5, my spouse or kids will take care of me. Let me tell you something. It's estimated that 25 to 30% of the baby boomers, that's us, will become divorced or widowed by the time they're 55 to 64. So we've also got the highest divorce rate, so unfortunately. Now, what's that do? That increases the likelihood that you're going to have to depend on your children to take care of you because you're divorced and you can't depend on your spouse. The other thing that I thought was interesting was right now in the year 2020, birth rates are at an all-time low. Not like, that's why we got to name the baby boomers, because we got tons of them. But, so, you know, if we have the highest divorce rate, then let's not count so much on our spouses to take care of it. Myth number 6, I can save enough money to pay on my own. Well, that's what we call private pay. And personally paying or privately paying for long-term care, of course, is an option. But let me point out that the average cost in 2020, which is bound to go up based on some of the things that happened in 2020, but the average cost in Tennessee of a nursing home is $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Let me let that sink in for just a second. And home care can be almost as expensive. It's a little bit less, but it's almost as expensive. And also think about this. Women need longer care, 3.7 years if they're in the home. Men, about 2.2 years. So can you imagine paying for 2 years or 3 years or even 5 or more years of nursing home care at the rate of $7,000 to $10,000 a month? I mean, you do the math. It'd be obvious that you can exhaust an estate in a short period of time. So paying for long-term care out of pocket, it may be an option if you can afford it. Hey, but for the 99.9% of us that can't do that, it's basically not an option. Myth number 7, long-term care insurance covers all your needs. Well, it's more realistic to think that if you have long-term care insurance, it's going to cover in the neighborhood of 60 to 70% if you have it. Less than 10% of the people have long-term care. Those who have it, it's a great idea, and it's one of the tools we use whenever it's available. If we need people, we can qualify for it. The problem with it is a lot of times it's pretty costly, and you may contribute a lot more than what the benefits justify. You know, it depends on when in life you get it. Also, if you wait too long, long-term care insurance is very age and health dependent. So they may not even give it to you based on your age or based on any kind of health conditions you might have. So myth number 8, it's always better to age in place. You know, the AARP did a survey, found that most people like to want to stay at home, right? They want to stay at home and age. And that's probably always the best option, but when you do that, it requires a pretty strong support network. I mean, you got to have family, you got to have caregivers. You may have some kind of skill requirement. So, and living at home can be isolating, which is, hey, that's the Turtles, 1967. So happy together. This guy house Yodi of the week.
That's right.
Give me a little chance to recover. Sometimes I talk so much.
Are you okay now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
You know, something just goes the wrong way and it's locked.
You were telling us myths.
Yeah, I was. I only had one left. talking about the common myths or common misconceptions of long-term care. And this one I hear a lot. I just call it denial. People say, I'll never go to the nursing home. Some people actually say, before I do that, you just need to take me out the barn and shoot me or something. But of course, I want to point out that going to the nursing home is never a choice. I mean, usually people have an accident of some kind or some kind of illness and they're admitted directly from the hospital, or if they suffer dementia, loss of cognitive ability, they get placed there by power of attorney or conservatorship. So nobody really lines up or willingly goes, okay, to long-term care. So it really never is much of a choice. So when you say I'm not going to go, give that some more thought. So those are just some of the common myths. We'll talk a lot about that at my seminar today, because called Wills Trust in Nursing Home, that we're doing over at the WLX Country Cafe. Basically, what we're going to talk about is how to plan for long-term care. I mean, that's what we do at Perchowski State Law. And the best time to plan is now, when you're relatively healthy. You have a few years before anything this might happen. But there's a lot we can do, even if something does happen and you end up in the nursing home. It's called crisis planning. Always better to do it early, but it's never too late to do something. And that's what we're going to talk about over at WLX radio station in Lawrenceburg, Country Cafe, back of the building. Wills Trust in the nursing home. I've given two of them, 1 o'clock this afternoon and 6 o'clock this evening. And those are in person, got a lot of social distancing. And I think Miss Tammy's made some cookies, so that'll be good.
She makes good cookies. She certainly
I'm
does.
careful not to get choking on one of those while I'm giving my presentation. But anyway, that's that. And that was the Stan Perchowski Oldie of the Week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'll see you again next Thursday morning about 8:30 again.
Always a pleasure to be here, Butch. Thank you.
We're always glad to have you. Perchowski Law Firm. Phone numbers, your place one more time.
Yeah, 363-7222 on the southeast side of the square. Give me a call. Come see me. Go to my website. Ask a question. I'm there to help.
All right. Coming up next on the bonus hour, Coach Nick.